Hey guys, before we start, a quick shout out to Alpha Dog Nutrition for sponsoring this podcast. Alpha Dog products are now available at dusupply.com, and you can use code ALPHADOG15 at checkout for 15% off and a credit for free shipping to try it yourself. Now let's get you to your podcast.
Welcome to my podcast, where we are going to talk about a lifestyle with dogs and throw in a few life lessons along the way. Whether you're a hound hunter, bird dog enthusiast, running setters, pointers, retrievers, or a flat-out running dog junkie, this podcast is for you. I am your host, Heath Hyatt, a certified law enforcement canine trainer with over 3 decades of personal and professional training and handling experience. It's time for me to pay it forward. So grab your leads, lace up those boots, and come and join me on this lifelong process of teaching, training, and learning. Are you looking to unlock your dog's full potential and give them the best nutrition possible for peak performance? Then look no further. Inukshuk has what you're looking for. Inukshuk's nutrient-dense formulas are crafted to keep your dog's energy high and performance top-notch. Packed with premium proteins and essential fats, Inukshuk delivers the balanced nutrition your dog needs to thrive. From hunting dogs to police canines, Inukshuk is trusted by professionals. Give your dog the power of peak performance with Inukshuk Professional Dog Food. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of What's Up Wednesday. Let's catch you up with what's going on here around the house. And then we got a good episode for you. So, had my surgery a couple weeks ago. Everything's good. Just missing a body part that obviously you don't need for everybody that's had their gallbladder out. I was a lot sorer than I expected to be. And when a doctor puts the restrictions on you not to lift over 15 pounds for 2 weeks, that's a challenge, because you grab stuff and you're like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. And you piddle around the house and you grab something, or you're doing something, or you're pulling on something, and it's rough because you want to do it, but you're not supposed to be doing it. And I definitely didn't want to prolong the injury or the healing process, whatever you want to call it. But it's all good. Everybody around the house has pitched in and done their work and mine. I got a couple loads of a couple pallets of dog food in, so we had to unload that. And with one of the pallets, man, it got gone like within a day. So I was having to load, meet people. I couldn't load it. So the girls were taking care of that. And then the other pallet was my pallet, so we had to put it in the basement. So they got to load 65 bags of dog food. And 20 of those bags were the 32, stocking up for the fall. So those are 44-pound bags. So, yeah, they helped me out a lot over the first couple of weeks. I did go fishing the second week. I found out that bending over numerous times made things even more sore, but we got through that. And by the second week, the soreness was going away pretty much, and all the bruising around the cuts, it went away. So, yeah, survived that, whatever you want to call it. One of the things that I wanted to talk about when I was coming back from Wisconsin, long 16-hour drive, you're sitting there, you got a lot of time on your hands to think. And I meant to put this out when I come back from Wisconsin, because it's two things that I wanted to talk about on the podcast for a couple weeks, maybe even months now. And I just keep slipping. So I wrote me down a little sticky note. My desk is covered with sticky notes at work. And so, two of the products that I use, one of the things that I'm very behind is the Frontline Optics, the sunglasses. And I've had him over a year now. And I've got two pair because I got one in each set of my vehicles because I like them so much. They're light. You know how a lot of sunglasses, the heavier sunglasses, when they sit on your nose, after a while they kind of hurt. These are light. They don't do that. They're stood for a good cause. 5% of each pair, the price of each pair goes to children or families that have lost their parents in the line of duty. And that could be firefighter, that could be police officer, etc. So just the cause alone, but the more I wear them, the more I like them. And, this summer, I've pretty much had them on my head every day to the point where I need another pair. And for the price point, I used to wear Oakleys all the time because that's what they give us at work. Oakleys don't cover my eye like I prefer. They are light. The Oakleys are light. But I end up liking the Frontlines better. So if you guys are interested in the sunglasses, I know we're probably buying them all the time. And like the girls will go down here to the DG and buy a $5 set. I'm not like that. And the Frontlines are polarized. Like I've been using them. I've been wearing those fishing instead of my Costas. So I really like them. But if you want to buy a pair of them, go to frontlineoptics.com, and if you put in code 4, CODE 4, the letter 4, number 4, they will give you I think it's a 15% discount on them. And they actually have a sale going on now where if you buy one, I think you get the second pair free. So you ought to go check it out. They're a really, really good sunglass. The other product that I do not talk enough about, that is literally in the house, in the truck, in my boat, I've got one in everything that I own, is my Darkenergy charging banks. And when I was coming back from Wisconsin, I was thinking about this. So I took 2 charging banks up there with me, and the cords, you get the cords with them. And like I was charging my phone, I was charging my Garmin. I had something else hooked up, my GoPro. I had my GoPro hooked up to it. So I have this, I was thinking about it on the way home. I have one of these, and it's just like the sunglasses. I have them in every vehicle. Like I've got them in the console of my vehicle. And every couple of months, I'll take them out and charge them to make sure they're charged. But I'm using these things nonstop. And it's just something we look over. It becomes a daily routine or a habit, and you just kind of forget that you're doing it. But I'm getting 3 and 4 charges out of each bank, the Poseidon Pro. And I actually did see where they just come out with the desert tan or the sand color, where they have that. I've got an orange one and a black one. They do have a green. The orange one I carry around more so when I'm out in the woods and stuff. That way, if I do drop it, it's bright orange, you can see it. And the black one, like I said, I stick it in my truck or whatever and use it if I don't have enough charging ports in my truck, or I'm going to stick it in my backpack or whatever. But man, I'm using this thing nonstop, and I just don't talk about it enough. And the reason that I'm bringing it up is because you guys listening are in the outdoors just as much as I am. I mean, I'm in the woods or on the water. If I'm not working or have a family function, that's where I'm at. And like I said, I'm carrying one underneath my boat seat. I didn't charge my phone one night. I went out fishing the next morning. About halfway through the day, I'm like, oh, my battery's dead. So I'm like, oh, crap. Well, open up my boat seat. Boom. I got my charging bank there and slap it on. And it charges your phone really fast. Like, probably half the time that it takes you when you charge it in a car or at the house. It's really, really fast. And I've been using it on my GoPros a lot too, just because of the convenience of it. And the same thing, if you want to purchase one of these items, I mean, you go to darkenergy.com, use the code 4, and they'll give you a 15, 20, I think it's a 20% discount for purchasing their product. But I see more and more people using charging banks. And for you outdoor guys and gals, I cannot recommend them enough. Like I said, I've got 2 Poseidon Pros and a Poseidon Nano, And the Nano literally just slaps on the back of your phone. It's magnetized, and it slaps on the back of your phone. And it'll charge it. I think I said it before. Like when I leave work and I have to go to like a volleyball game or basketball game or whatever, a lot of times my phone will be drained from the work day, and I slap it on the back of it while I'm sitting in the game, and it'll charge it back up to about 80% pretty quickly. So like I said, you ought to check those things out if you're not using them or you've always been interested in them. Both of them, code 4, CODE 4, get you a discount on the product. And again, I use these things daily. Like I'm using them daily. It's not something that I just have and it's thrown over on the counter or, in a basket somewhere, wherever you keep stuff on the coffee table. But I literally have both of these products in my vehicles, multiple vehicles, and I'm using them daily. So I just want to put that out there. I was thinking about it on the trip back and just didn't get around to it. All right, well, let's get into today's podcast. And I had Shane actually sent me a message. So shout out to Shane for this one. This is on him. And I guess it's stuff we talk about all the time and we really just don't, I haven't just put it out there. And it's, again, before we get started, and at the end of this, I'm going to say the same thing. It's all a matter of preference and opinion, okay? No right or wrong. It's what people prefer. But Shane asked me what I prefer, a male or a female. And I'm like, good topic. For me, quickly, I will go through what I prefer is I prefer males. And after I got to thinking about this, after he had asked me the question, I got to counting my dogs, and I'm overwhelmed with females. That's right. I got 5 males, and everything else I got 10 females. So 15. There you go. The big number, 15. Way too many dogs, but a lot of puppies. So yeah, I prefer a male dog. And there's several reasons I prefer a male dog. I'm going to go through some reasons with both, and we'll kind of go over it and talk about it. The first thing with the male dog and what I hate is the heat cycle, right? You don't have to fool with it. You got more consistency with the availability of during hunting season. You don't have to worry about putting that dog on the sideline. And I'm telling you, as soon as the day that I come back from Wisconsin, the day that I drove back, 2 of my Jips come in heat in the truck coming back. So I had to put all the females on one side, and I only took 2 males with me. Here we go again. I prefer males and only had 2 with me. So I had to put them on one side just to avoid the risk of anything. And like I said, I know they were just coming in. But, so heat cycle is the number one thing. Usually, and again, there's always a caveat to this. And I can really talk about this in the police world. But, they're stronger built, more muscular, which means that, they can longer hunts, pushing through thick cover, all kinds of things go with the stronger build, right? If the dog's put up conformationally correct, you're getting a superior product, right? Most, again, not all, you're getting really good drive, high drives, and good grit. And grit can mean whatever it wants to. For me, grit is stay. That's what I want. Males are more often like single-minded in their drive. Like once they get completely trained, like I got a job to do, bam, this is what I'm doing. The persistence and determination, like it all goes in line with that. Let's talk about long-term, right? And if anybody has, everybody's got females, I'm sure. Let's talk about the emotional stability of that dog. For males, you don't have to worry about those hormonal changes like you do in a female. And I know when I was hunting Brandy really hard on the Purina circuit in the coon hunting world, like after her heat cycle, man, it took me a week or so to get her back like boom, back focused on, here she goes. And that's just a part of the female. Here's one for you guys that are training dogs. Okay. And I have noticed this, that a lot of times the males are less sensitive. So if we tend to overcorrect or a little too strong-handed, which I have been during my tenure, I try not to do that nowadays. The males seem to be more forgiving of mistakes or if you make during pressure or corrections. Okay, so that's something to think about. That's something I've definitely seen in the law enforcement canine world. To kind of wrap that up, fall and winter, your gyps come in heat, you need to hunt, you don't have them because, they're your really good dogs and you have to lay them up, which has kind of been what's happened to me the last couple of years. It just seems to work out better for me. And if you're not planning on breeding, you don't have to change anything with a male. But let's get into the things you need to think about. Males can be a lot more intact males, which you don't see a whole. Well, I don't know. The guys out west seem to cut their dogs that they're not breeding. I've got several from out west that have been cut, but they can be territorial, right? I cannot stand a male dog that wants to run around and pee on everything. I can't stand it. And when they're doing that, like, they're really not focused on the job. They're focused on being dominant and marking their territory. So I don't like that, and I correct that at a very young age, and there's definitely a process to go through that you can do that. Males seem to roam a little bit more. So that's something that you can think about. And that's pretty much the down low of the good and the bad with the males. And I'm sure that there's more stuff there. You want consistent, you want a good drive, you want a good, strong, physically strong hunting partner, then, with the fewer hormonal interruptions, bold, independent, a male would be something to look at. I'm not telling you to get one, but I'm telling you to look at. So let's look at the females. And I have to say that I've had some really good females, and I seem to bond better with the females for some reason. Like out of all my dogs, and you guys have heard me talk about them a lot, Spook and Kate and Axe and Attica and Hootie and Hart and Lady and Sass. That's kind of the dogs that I'm hunting right now. Of course, the B-litter, Bishop and Briggs. But Kate is kind of like my baby. Like, I cannot go in her pen to feed her, to clean the pen or whatever, that she is not like brushing up against my side. And if I stand there for just a second, like, she wants that attention. She wants it. And I just feel like I've had a better bond with the females. And I can go back, Belle, my Cameron female, the same way. Had a really, really strong bond with her. So just something to think about. All right, so let's focus on the females for just a few minutes. One thing that you got to see with the females is a lot of times they mature faster. We've talked about that on the podcast, that all dogs mature differently, but females usually mature faster and focus a little bit quicker than the males. The males could be a lot slower or a little slower in that development. So they're quicker to train or easier to train as puppies. Let's go back to that bond that I just talked about. They're eager to please. Like, these girls, like, I want to make dad happy. I want to make dad happy. So they're easier to handle, and they want to do good for you. They're more biddable, like commands and stuff. If you start training a male and a female, you will recognize that. I say that, and I've got an outlier. Like, they're easier to handle. They're less likely to test you. But then I got Izzy down here that's testing me at every move, like every move. But I will say that we have worked through some of our issues, and I am able to put her back in the pen without having to lay hands on her and have to grab her and carry her. I can holler for her and walk towards the pen, and she's usually in there waiting on me. But we have found a treat that she absolutely loves, and it's dried liver, and it's cut into chunks, and she loves it, and she's working for that now. So that's helped us through the process with that. And it's been a process. I mean, this has been going on all summer as far as her stubbornness towards me. And again, it's from her being a puppy and me not giving her choices and picking her up, so on and so forth. But I say that to reiterate that most of the time, like, they're less likely to test you, but not her. Like, she's tested me at every turn that we've made. They're less territorial and aggressive. So when you're hunting a pack of males, everybody's always talking about, are they aggressive? Are they mean? If you have a female that is territorial and or aggressive, you've got an alpha female, and that is a different animal. Okay, so we're not even going to go there, but it's different. You're working with a 1%er there. So the less dominant behavior, you can use a lot of different dogs. In fact, this morning I was sitting down, and I'm going to restructure my pack a little bit because I have so many dogs. So I'm going to hunt 2 different packs. And I was actually busting up the dogs on strengths and weaknesses and what I want and what I don't want. So the females kind of work in any situation. Like, I can put them in, take them out. Like, it's very flexible. Like I said, fewer issues with posturing, roaming around, barking behavior, easier to manage in the kennels, vehicles. I don't know. I've got 2 younger dogs that are very destructive. So I'm not very happy about that. It's squelching hot. I mean, we're mid-August. It's been super hot. That last week of July, I mean, in the 90s. The heat index pushing 100, and I've got sunshades up on all of my kennels, and the young female, man, she just gets up in there and chews it, and the next thing you know, she's hanging off of it and it's gone. And I'm like, man, them things are like $30 a piece. And I've put up hog panels to try to deter it. What I think I'm going to do is put chicken wire over the hog panels so she can't get her mouth up in there. That's my next step, which I'm probably going to do here. I'll probably do it next year. Like I said, we're halfway through August. No sense in working on it now. But the pack dynamics, like I said, you can kind of transition them into different groups, and it's not a big deal. So what are we looking at? For better choices for a female, typically, again, more obedient, handle responsive. They hunt a little different. Fast-paced. You can run multiple dogs, no dominant issues. If you're not going to breed, you can spay them to avoid the heat cycles, which brings us to the heat cycles are one of the downfalls of the females. Like I said, I've got a pile of them, so when one comes in heat, it's like a train reaction. Like, bam, okay, one's in heat, now I got 2 in heat. 2 goes out heat, then another one comes in heat, and it's like a vicious cycle. And I'm having to put dogs up in season, and I've had to do it every year, and I do not like that. So you're basically losing 3 weeks, 21 days, if you're doing it correctly, to it. So if you're looking to hunt a female, first time hunt owner, dog hunt owners, like, probably going to be that's what I would recommend, honestly, because they are more biddable. They do catch on faster. They train a little easier, and they're not going to test you as much as a male dog. Again, outliers out there. There's always a 1 or 2 that's not going to fall into line with that. So just trying to put that in as a a catch-all. Like there's always that dog, right, that we can always say. So back to my pack. I prefer males because to heat cycle alone. But some of my best dogs have been females. I mean, over the years, Brandy was an outstanding dog, and Belle. And then I had a female named Sky that I don't talk about a lot. And I should have put her in those, the last series I did, the Silent Pack, because Sky was a super nice dog. Super, super, super nice dog. Fast. But she looked like a male dog. And that's something that her and Kitty, and if you go back to Cannon, Kitty was Cannon's mother. Kitty was big like a male dog. And Sky was big like a male dog. I mean, she had legs on her, long-legged, like well-built, like she could flat out fly. Sky's downfall was every time a pad touched the ground, that mouth come open. She couldn't keep her mouth shut. Yeah. I mean, it was just long. I mean, a bad track sounded like a scorching track. A jump bear sounded like the bad track she was just coming off of. So anyway, but I've had some really good females. I think I've been more partial to the females, honestly, than my male dogs. It's just expected. You go back to Frosty, and, Frosty was my buddy, And then, I had Ring and Sam and Smokey. And if you listen, at that point in time, most of my dogs, Ring, Sam, Smokey, Clyde, Rufus, that was the dogs I was hunting. And Belle was in there. She was the mix-in. And then my pack kind of changed, and Sky come along, and I incorporated her. And then I had a couple other different females until today. You're looking at 20 years later, and I when Shane asked me that question, I look at my kennels and I'm like, holy crap. Like I'm loaded down with females. And this is not what I prefer. So how did I get here? I asked myself that. I'm like, okay, how did I get here? It's because I'm trying to pick the best hound for the job out of what I'm picking from. And it just happened to be females. So that's how I ended up here. And one thing that I've learned in testing dogs for the law enforcement side of things, I don't care if it's pointy-eared, floppy-eared, pink, and polka-dotted. If you want a dog that does what you're asking it to do, you pick the best dog for the job. Male, female, it doesn't matter. Breed doesn't matter. You pick the dog. And I have slowly and surely started incorporating that into my selection process. But let's go back to the male dogs. Here's what I think's getting me is when you're looking at a litter of puppies, at 8 weeks old, I don't care. You're playing the lottery. You reach down, you pick one up. Yes, you can do a few things, but that does not mean over the next 6 months that dog does not change dramatically. We've talked about it. You're picking out a 6-month-old dog, your chances are a little better. And then once you get up to a year, especially in the police world, I can test drives and I can test temperament and I can test environmental things, and I've got a better chance of picking the dog that I want. Go back to the hound world. All right, 8 weeks old, when most people get rid of puppies, I'm picking out what I like best, and it's most of the time it's the looks of the dog and how he's built. That's honestly what I'm doing, because it's a crapshoot. But males tend to start later, and I'm not seeing some of the things that I want to see out of the males, i.e. that's why I've ended up with 10 females. So it's a constant battle to pick and choose and to get where you want to get. I would prefer to have an even pack where I have even males and even females right now. And we all know, like, if you're gonna carry on your lineage, or you plan on breeding, females are very important. And it's hard to go out and get a good female to breed to, right? The people that have really good females have kind of got it in their mind which direction they want to go. And if that male's not yours, then, you're just SOL, right? So females that's been another thing in my thought process. Like, I want to keep a really good female. I want a female that can reproduce better than what it is. And here's the boat I'm in. Like I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 4 females right now that I would like to breed. I can't raise 4 litters of puppies. I can't do it. Like I said, I'm run over with puppies now. Well, the youngest one I have at this point is 6 months old. So I'm run over with puppies. And me and Doug DeVos was talking the other day. You can't do 2 and 3 puppies justice. Like I tried that with a B litter. I kept 4 out of 5. And I feel like I set those back. And that was on me, not on the dog. That's on me because I'm hunting one and next day I take the other one. You know, if you're serious about training them, you need to have that dog in the woods as much as possible. And when you're splitting that time or thirding that time with somebody else, that's less experience they get, less time in the woods they get, and it's just a disservice. So that's on me. That's my fault. It's not the dog's fault. So I can't have 4 litters at one time. And I think I've already, as much as I like to raise 2 pups together, one of the things that we're finding for us, and this is just our experience, nobody else's, for us, that if you don't separate those pups, like I keep them in a pen until the female comes in heat, and that could be 8 months old, 9 months old, 11 months old, 13 months old. I don't know. I keep them in a pen together. Well, then you start having dependency issues where, oh, you want to go? Well, I'm not going without you. So you have to separate those dogs out. But that's a whole nother podcast. But just some things to think about. So, Shane, there's your answer to your question. There's pros and cons to each one. I think it's all preference, and I think it's all on what you want to accomplish in the end. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope your bear season is going well. Everybody's training season is in at this point, from Maine to out west to wherever. I hope everybody's catching bear and enjoying those races. Catch you guys next time on What's Up Wednesday.
Tailgate drops before the light, coolers packed and the rig sitting right, tracking collars charged, beeping green, boots in the bed and the rifle's clean, dog box rattling, engines hum, we're chasing bear till the day is done. Old ring barking like he knows what's near, nose to the wind, tail full of cheer. From the Virginia mountains to the Carolina clay, we're burning fuel in miles each day. Every turn's another tale, through mountain mist and paper trails. We see the sunset red in Tennessee, rise through the fog in old WV. North Carolina's pines echo loud with the cry of a hard-run hound. New York forest, Maine's deep snow, Vermont valleys where the black bears go. Truck keeps rolling, wheels don't care. We're chasing daylight, chasing bear. Rest stops few, the roads are long, but the fire in our hearts still burns strong. Wisconsin mornings cutting crisp and clear, Canada's wildwoods drawing near. Still got states we ain't run, but that hound dog fever won't let us quit. We see the sunset red in Tennessee, rise through the fall in old WV. North Carolina's pines echo loud with the cry of a hard-run hound. New York frost, Maine's deep snow, Vermont valleys where the black bears go. Truck keeps rolling, wheels don't care. We're chasing daylight, chasing bear. Gas station coffee, Alpha XL on the dash. Another back road, another bear track. Friends made fast and stories told slow, under stars where only hunters go. We see the sunrise gold in Canadian air, and and it sits on a trail down in Appalachia. Packing steel and leather, grit and care, we're built for the road and chasing bears. So load the dogs and slam the gate. There's a trail ahead, we won't be late. From dawn to dusk, we're always there, chasing daylight, chasing them bears.